Hello everyone! For today's lesson, we are going to talk about learners with difficulty in communicating. This is your discussant, Erica Becativo from BS Ed major in Mathematics. I know some of us have that one friend that every time we explain something to them, you have to repeat it over and over again before they will finally understand what you're saying, or something like a joke turning to an explanation because they didn't get it, or or someone who stutters every time she speaks. These are some of the common behavior observed from people who has difficulty in communicating. Reasons for this kind of behavior could be due to delays of development. Their speech and language domain is not that active, while others have had a clinical diagnosis of a disability. For us to have a clear understanding of students who have difficulty communicating, we will begin with the definition of communication and its accompanying concepts. Then we will learn how to identify students with difficulty in learning. After that, we will proceed on the ways on how to help them manage and become successful in an inclusive setting.
Let us begin in defining communication according to Howard. Communication is the interactive exchange of information, ideas, feelings, needs, and desires between and among people. To have a communication with someone, one has to narrate, explain, inform, request, or demand, or express feelings and opinions. Now, how is speech different from language? When we say speech, it is the expression of language with sounds or oral production. So, nagkakaroon ng speech kapag meron yung tinatawag natin na respiration, or it is the act of breathing. And then, phonation. It is the production of sound by the larynx and vocal folds. And then third, we have articulation. Ito na yung combination of yung paggamit ng ating lips, yung tongue, yung teeth, and hard and soft palates para makapagsalita. Kapag sinabi namang language, it is used for communication. It is a formalized code used by a group of people to communicate with one another. So, in here, language, people will decide on symbols and their corresponding meanings, and of course, the rules that make up a language. And we have 5 dimensions of language that describe its form. First, we have phonology. Kapag sinabing phonology, it refers to the sound system of a language. A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound within a language. For instance, the word dog. Meron itong tatlong phonemes. Una is yung D, and then O, and then yung G. So, kapag sinabing phonology, ito yung sound ng letter. And another example, yung beans. Para sa beans ay meron siyang 4 phonemes. Namely, yung B, E, N, and S. So, itong phonology ay isa sa malaking factor para matutong magbasa ang mga bata. And the next doon na component ng language is morphology. Morphology of a language refers to the smallest unit of a language that has meaning and which are used to combine words. Like yung sounds, yung syllables, or yung whole words are examples of morphemes. So, ito ay yung study ng words. So, dito mabibigyan ng meaning ang isang salita at kung paano sila nabuo. Another component of language is syntax. Ito yung system of rules governing the meaningful arrangement of words. So, dito napapasok yung grammar rules. Kunwari, yung sentence na ready, get for the exam. Diba kapag ganun yung magiging sentence natin, hindi mo magigets agad yung sinasabi doon sa sentence. So, kaya nagkaroon ng syntax para kapag kinombine mo yung words ay makakabuo ka ng meaning mula dito. So, para dun sa ready get for the exam ay magiging siyang get ready for the exam, which will make more sense rather than the first one. And then fourth is semantics. It refers to the meanings associated with words and combination of words in a language. So, naka-include dito yung vocabulary, concept development, connotative, meaning of words, and then yung categories. So, for example, dito yung destination, yung word na destination and phrase na last stop. So, technically, they have the same meaning. But because of semantics, they could have subtle shades of meaning. So, ito yung sinasabing study of language meaning. And then, last we have pragmatics. Pragmatic revolves around the social use of language. So, ito yung malalaman natin kung kailan gagamitin, bakit gagamitin, kung ano yung gamit nito, and yung gamit ng language within the specific context. So, meron tayong 3 kinds of pragmatics. First is using language for different purposes. Second, changing language according to the context. And then following rules for conversation and storytelling. Now that we are enlightened with the meaning of communication, speech, and language and their differences, we will now proceed to speech impairments. Like what I said earlier, that speech impairment are communication disorders such as stuttering, impaired articulation, and language or voice impairment. So we have here 4 types of speech impairment. First is articulation disorder. A child has articulation disorder if he is unable to produce a given sound physically. And then next we have phonological disorder. A child produces multiple patterns of sound errors with obvious impairment of intelligibility. So dito ay pwedeng sa ibang words ay mabigkas nila ng tama, pero madalas sa ibang words naman ay hindi nila na-produce ng maayos yung sound or yung tamang pagbigkas. For example, that pie is good. Sasabihin ng bata, cat pie is good. Sabi niya ganon. Itong articulation disorder ay hindi pa ganoon katama at kaayos yung pagbigkas ng isang bata sa mga letters, kaya minsan kulang-kulang yung syllable na nabibigkas nila. So, kadalasan, ma-observe natin ito sa behavior ng mga bata kasi hindi pa ganoon ka-develop yung kanilang speech and language domain. For example, dito, sabi niya, instead of saying, I want a blue lollipop, the child would say, I want a blue lollipop. Sabi niya ganon. Though merong mga words na nabibigkas niya ng tama, meron ding namang words na hindi niya nabibigkas or na-produce yung tamang sound para doon sa word na yun or para sa phrase na iyon. Third, we have fluency disorder. Difficulties with the rhythm and timing of speech. So, dito na yung papasok yung stuttering, ito yung repetition of consonant or vowel sounds, especially at the beginning of words. And then, yung prolongation, hesitations, interjections, and complete verbal blocks. So, kapag sinabi yung prolongation, yung parang, instead na short lang yung pagkabigkas nila, parang ang haba ng pagbigkas nila sa isang salita. Kunwari, I want a banana. Diba kapag ganon, kapag adult na yung isang tao, I want a banana, parang ganon yung sabihin niya lang. Pero kapag babasa yung mga grade 1, medyo, napropolonga nila yung paraan ng pagbasa nila. I want a banana. Diba ganon naman, pansin nyo. And then 4, we have voice disorder. So, problems with the quality or use of one's voice resulting from disorder of the larynx. So, ito na yung, kunwari, yung boses ng isang lalaki is masyado siyang husky or masyadong breathy or masyadong mataas yung boses niya. So, pwedeng mga cause nito is vocal abuse or yung maling paggamit ng voice. Kunwari, kapag bata, mga mahilig magkalaro. So, mahilig din silang mag-make ng sounds from their idols. Kunwari, si Hawk. O, diba si Hawk? Same with excessive use of voice sa mga ating mga public speakers, like for us in teachers, o maghapon na nagsasalita yung teachers. So, kailangan, as future teachers, kailangan din nating alagaan yung boses natin para maiwasan natin yung magkaroon ng voice disorder. Malaki yung boses nun. So, yung mga bata, para mag-create sila ng malaking boses para magaya lang nila yung idol nila. So, ang mangyayari, magagasgas yung kanilang vocal cords. Hindi, masisira yung kanilang boses. Ganun. Next naman, we have language disorders. It involves problem in one or more of the 5 components of language and are often classified as expressive or receptive. So, itong language disorders ay maaring nagresulta dahil sa deficiency sa comprehension. Pwedeng hindi ganoon kalawak yung vocabulary ng isang tao, or hindi siya ganon kagaling na mag-construct ng sentence, or impairments in discourse. So, itong mga ito ay pwede maka-apekto sa language domain ng isang tao or ng isang bata. Itong language disorder is either yung tao ay nahihirapan na i-express or i-voice out yung kanyang feelings, yung thoughts niya, or yung opinions niya. So, ito yung tinatawag na expressive language disorder. Kapag sinabi ng mga receptive, ito yung nahirapan silang umintindi ng mga instruction or ng directions mula sa ibang tao. Meron din yung combination ng dalawa. So, ito, mas mahirap ito kasi nahirapan na siyang umintindi, nahirapan pa siyang i-voice out yung kanyang nararamdaman or yung thoughts niya. So, para malaman kapag ang bata or ang isang tao ay mayroong language disorder, kailangan niya mag-undergo ng series of examination or testing by the speech and language therapist. At yung test na iyon ay yun yung magsasabi kung gaano ba kagaling ang isang bata o yung tao na yun na umintindi ng salita, or gaano siya kagaling na i-voice out or gaano kagaling na magsalita ang isang bata when it comes to communicating, at i-compare yun sa mga bata na same age niya. Kadalasan na mapapansin natin na mayroong ganitong speech and language difficulties ay yung mga taong may autism. So, itong disorder na ito ay malaki yung epekto sa social development at saka sa communication nila, like yung relationship nila with other people, yung pagkikipag-communicate nila, tapos yung pag-understand nila sa perspective ng ibang tao ay hindi ganoon umaayon sa kanilang pag-intindi sa kanilang pansariling pananaw. So, you see, hindi ganoon kadali na magkaroon ng ganitong disorder. Next ay mag-proceed na tayo on how will we identify if a person has this kind of disorder. So, we have to take note of the absence, delays, and difficulties in speech and oral language. So, kapag may nakitang ganito, that's the time that you have to consult your general pediatrician, and that person will refer you to developmental pediatrician or other specialist kapag may nakita siyang ganitong behavior ng isang bata. Yung iba, gumagamit sila ng questionnaires at developmental checklist para ma-determine nila yung severity ng delay ng bata with the typical language development of children in their age. And then upon screening, that child may receive educational supports and accommodation to help address the delay. So, kung kailangan pa ng medical certificate para lang masabi na kailangan ng ganitong assistance ng batang ito na may ganitong disorder, ay kailangang mabigyang action agad ito ng teacher nila at hindi dinidisregard yung ganitong issues ng isang bata. And then, if the difficulty is pronounced, referrals can already be made to development pediatrician and the speech and language pathologist. So, how do specialists determine a speech or language problem? We have here several components in determining the presence of a communication disorder. First, we have case history and physical examination. Dito sa case history ay kailangan malaman ng specialist yung background ng isang bata mula sa kanyang pagkapanganak, parang ganon. And then yung developmental history niya, yung health record. Kapag yung iba naman ay hinahanapan sila ng or inaano nila yung achievement ng bata sa school or yung kanyang adjustment doon sa school. Kapag sinabi ng mga physical examination, dito na yung irregularities doon sa tongue, sa lips, sa teeth, or sa other part ng katawan niya na pwede maka-apekto sa speech production. Next naman is yung hearing. So, yung hearing ay tinetest din ng isang specialist kung ito ba ay nagkakos ng communication disorder doon sa bata. So, yung hearing impairment, it needs to be treated to develop speech and language skills, of course. And then third, we have articulation. So, a child articulation skills are assessed, which include identifying speech errors. So, ito na yung paraan ng pagsasalita ng isang bata. And then, dito naman sa phonological awareness and processing, dito na papasok yung foundation ng reading skills ng isang bata. So, kapag hindi na-develop sa murang edad yung kanyang reading skills, ay malaki yung epekto nito sa kanyang expressive and receptive spoken language. So, kapag nahihirapang magbasa ang isang bata or hindi siya marunong magbasa, ay makaka-apekto talaga ito sa kanyang pag-intindi ng directions and instructions kasi nga hindi ganoon kalawak yung kanyang vocabulary. Overall language and development vocabulary. Dito ginagamitan ito ng formal test para ma-measure yung overall language development ng isang bata at saka yung kanyang vocabulary. Kung naapektuhan ba nito yung kanyang pag-intindi at saka yung paggamit niya ng language sa kanyang speech or in academic settings. Assessment of language function. Language is used to serve several functions such as to request, name, imitate, ask, and converse among others. It emphasized how language is used rather than the structure and form of language. Language samples and observation in natural settings. So dito yung specialist ay pwede niyang i-assess kung may difficulties ba yung isang bata through observation in natural settings like yung interaction ng bata, yung language niya sa araw-araw na ginagawa niya sa kanyang tahanan or sa school, like that. So, pwede niyang gamitin ito para mag-gather ng information in clinical settings. We also have to take note that in assessing, we have to take consideration of the student's language and language context, particularly for students growing up in bilingual environment. So, kailangan alam natin i-differentiate yung mga student na English language learners doon sa na-diagnose talaga na mayroong communication disorder. So, itong mga English language learners ay magaling sila sa kanilang mother tongue, nakakapag-express naman sila ng maayos at naiintindihan nila ng maayos yung sa mother tongue. Pero sa second language nila, kunwari sa English, doon naman sila yung mga ganunong bagay. Kapag alam ng teacher or ng language specialist yung first and second language ng isang bata, ay makakatulong ito para malaman nila yung mga possible sources ng communication difficulties ng isang bata. At saka yung mga, of course, may address din yung kanilang needs at saka yung mga support na kailangan nila para masolusyonan pa yung kanilang disorder. Next, we will learn the characteristics of persons or children with communication disorders. Itong mga bata na mayroong communication disorder ay karaniwang malalaman natin kapag nahihirapan sila makipag-socialize with other people. For example, kunwari sa bahay pa lang or sa school mismo o basta sa community na kinabibilangan ng bata ay hindi siya ganoon kagaling or nakaka-experience siya ng difficulty when it comes to social interaction, ay madedetermine mo na meron siyang communication disorder. Balikan natin yung language difficulties kanina, diba? Meron yung expressive at saka yung receptive language difficulties. First, kapag nahirapan yung bata na express yung sarili niya, ito yung karaniwang ma-observe natin sa kanila. Limited vocabulary, incorrect grammar or syntax, expressive repetition of information, and then difficulty in formulating questions and difficulty in constructing sentences. Pag sa receptive language difficulties naman, ma-observe natin na they have difficulty in following oral direction, understanding humor or figurative language, comprehending compound and complex sentences, and then responding to questions appropriately. So, itong mga bata na merong communication disorder may also experience behavioral difficulties because they struggle in expressing their needs and ideas. Some children resort to inappropriate behaviors out of frustration to get the attention of significant others. O, kunwari, yung isang 5-year-old na bata, so, meron siyang expressive language disorder. So, hindi niya gaanong nasasabi sa ibang tao yung gusto niya, yung ganun. So, pwedeng, kunwari, may gusto siyang toy. So, ang gagawin niya na lang, instead of ipapaalam niya na hiramin niya yung toy, ay kukuhanin niya na lang ito ng basta doon sa kanyang kalaro. So, for example, yung isang 5-year-old child na mayroong expressive language disorder, instead of saying na, kunwari, gusto niya yung toy, sasabihin niya sana na kapag normal na bata, parang sasabihin niya or magpapaalam siya na gusto niyang hiramin yung toy. Pero dahil nga meron siyang ganitong kind of disorder, ay they will often resort to using actions na pwede mag-result to physical aggression. So, it is essential that the teachers and professionals take this into consideration when working with children with communication disorder and difficulties. So, yung feelings ng frustration, pwedeng mas worse siya kapag dating sa mga kaibigan or sa peers or sa adults na nahirapan na intindihin sila. Of course, wag din natin kakalimutan na although meron silang ganitong type ng disorder, ay wala na silang sariling kakayahan. So, ang sinasabi sa theory of multiple intelligences, according kay Gardner, ay every individual has different ways of learning and different intelligences. Like for example, interpersonal, linguistic, spatial, ganyan. Yung spatial, yung mga taong artistic, mga creative. So, they may not be that good in communication, in linguistic domain, but they are, sometimes they are good in spatial. So kailangan as parents and as future teachers ay kailangan mai-provide mo or mag-provide ka ng more opportunities para sa kanilang strengths, sa kanilang abilities na mas ma-enhance pa at saka ma-develop pa iyon. Kasi yung pag alam mo ng kanilang kanya-kanya nilang strength, yung kanya-kanyang abilities sa isang inclusive classroom is napaka-importante para malaman at saka maintindihan mo yung kanyang communication disorder. At dyan na papasok yung ating last topic na general educational adaptation. So dito malalaman natin yung different strategies and accommodation na pwedeng gamitin ng isang teacher para matugunan yung pangangailangan ng isang mayroong communication difficulties or disorder. So this section discusses the use of universal design for learning and practical tips to be used in the classroom. The use of universal design for learning in the classroom allows children to learn information, demonstrate understanding, and stay engaged in multiple ways. Like for example, multiple means of presentation, expression, and engagement. Dahil nga sa weakness ng isang learner na kunwari yung communication difficulties tsaka yung disorder na iyon is kailangan sa teaching at saka sa learning process ay ina-apply ng teacher yung different modalities like yung visual, yung auditory, at saka yung kinesthetic, motor, or tactile. Meaning, yung lessons na tinuturo niya doon sa within the students ay hindi pure na passive approach yung ginagawa niya, like pure lecture, reading the textbook, or basta nagsasalita yung teacher, siya lang yung nagsasalita within all throughout the discussion, like that. So, kailangan meron din palang pabago-bago din dapat yung kanyang approach. Kunwari, pwede siyang gumamit ng pictures sometimes, like that, ng videos, o kaya ng pwede siyang mag-hands-on experiential learning, like that. So, huwag nating limitahan yung paraan ng pagtuturo sa estudyante at pag-intindi sa kanila. And huwag tayong makontento na basta nakapag-lecture ka is doon na magtatapos yun. So, part ng role natin as teachers or as future teachers is to help our students find their weakness and their strength. And then, yung strength na iyon, ay yun yung ating i-highlight. Bibigyan natin yun ng highlight at nakasalalay sa iyong teaching strategy ang pagkatuto ng isang bata na mayroong communication disorder or difficulty. Next naman is practical tips for the classroom. So, in addition dun sa ating universal design learning, we also have practical tips and techniques that teachers can use to provide students with communication difficulties the support they need in order to be successful. So, meron tayo ditong 11 tips. First is allow the child to sit near the teacher and the blackboard. Kailangan malayo siya sa anumang distraction, sa window, ganyan, sa door. Kailangan matutukan mo yung batang iyon. So, kailangan ilagay mo siya doon sa malayo siya sa distraction. Next is get the child's attention before giving directions. So, bago ka magbigay ng instruction, kunwari, kailangan tawagin mo yung attention ng bata. So, wag mo namang ipapalalata sa ibang mga estudyante mo. So, kunwari, pwedeng i-gano mo yung table, itap mo yung table, or basta anything na pwedeng makakall sa attention ng lahat, including, especially yung tao na mayroong ganitong disorder. So, para matulungan mo yung bata na mag-focus at saka makinig doon sa direction. Next is use pictures, charts, and other visual aids when explaining content to supplement auditory information. Yan, tama yan. And then 4 is speak slowly and clearly without exaggerating speech. Then 5 is simplify direction into short steps. Kung alam mo naman na meron sa classroom mo na mayroong may ganitong klase ng disorder, ay huwag mo nang ipilit pa na laliman pa yung binibigay mong instruction, kasi syempre ikaw rin yung mapiperwisyo yan kasi hindi niya magigets yung instruction mo. So, pwedeng tatanungin ka niya ng paulit-ulit. Or something like, mababa yung magiging grades niya or yung performance niya kasi hindi niya nagets yung instruction. So, mali yung gagawin niyang mula doon sa binigay mo instruction. Something like that, And then, so, ang kailangan mo gawin is break down multi-step directions and give each one at a time instead of just repeating each one. Ayan. And then, pang 6 is provide a written copy of directions for a task so the child can refer back to it at his or her own pace. And then, use gestures to clarify information, and then use peer-mediated instruction so that peers without difficulties can serve as language models and learning bodies. So sometimes mas mabuti nga na magkaroon sila ng na bigyan mo sila ng activity or ng group activity wherein mas ma-express or makakatulong na ma-express yung pag-express ng bata sa kanilang thoughts kapag kasama kasi nila yung kanilang mga kaibigan, di ba? So, wag laging individual. So, kailangan magbigay ka rin ng group activity. Next is provide extra time to prepare for oral language activities. So, kunwari, may recitation doon sa class, wag mo nang unahin pang tawagin yung taong merong communication difficulties. One way to prepare them in this kind of situation is to call other student na pwede mag-serve as language models nila. The next model, correct language forms and use appropriate wait times. So for like 3 to 5 seconds or more to give the child time to think and respond. And then last, we have explicitly teach vocabulary that is needed in the learning context to promote better comprehension. So kung hindi talaga malawak yung vocabulary ng isang tao, ay medyo mahirapan talaga siyang makipag-communicate with other people. The universal design for learning alongside different accommodations such as presentation, response, setting, and timing that are appropriate to the child and collaboration between the general education teacher and the special education professional will all help ensure that children with communication difficulties or disorders have a chance to be successful in an inclusive classroom. I must say that it is our duty as teachers to help the students with difficulty in communicating and disorders like that to become successful in the future by employing multiple intelligences strategies in the teaching and learning process. I hope and pray that in the near future we will be able to produce successful students, successful people as we help them, as we guide them and mold them in their character and behavior. So, this is the end of my report. Thank you for watching.